Welcome to the demonstration for migrating PST files, PST Migration Wizard, PST Migration Method. This demonstration reinforces the concepts covered in Lesson 13 of the Enterprise Vault 10 for Exchange Administration course. In this demonstration, we will perform a PST Migration Wizard, PST file migration. In previous demonstrations, we did PST migration preparation and a client-driven migration, which is usually the most convenient method where the PSTs are held locally on client machines, as well as a locate and migrate method, which is the best method to use to find the PST files that are spread across many servers and clients. In this demonstration, we will use a wizard-based PST migration for importing a PST file created using the PST export wizard. In this demonstration, we will export archived items out of one user's archive and then import them into a shared archive. This is an example of something that can only be achieved using the wizard-driven PST migration. We're going to start off on the Enterprise Vault server, Server 2, in the Vault Administration Console. And here on our archives, we have selected the shared archives. So the first thing we need to do is to create the new shared archive that we're going to import our PST file to. So I'll go ahead and right-click on the shared archives, select New, and then Archive, which starts up our new shared archive wizard. We can go ahead and click Next on the first screen. Now, this particular one is going to be for users. It's not going to be used for our journaling environment, so we don't want it to be in the Corporate Compliance Vault store, which we had talked about in an earlier lesson, being used for our journal. So we'll go ahead and select the Information Management Vault store for this particular shared archive. Then we'll go ahead and click Next. We need to give the shared archive a name, and we're planning on using this for our marketing people, so we'll call it the Marketing Shared Data. Then I can go ahead and click Next again. And for our indexing, we'll leave the site settings there and use full. That should be fine. For our bill usage to, we'll go ahead and bill it to our power user in Kapoor. That's the one we've been logged in as and using their account to do most of our administrative tasks in our Vault Administration Console. So we'll go ahead and click Next. We get our summary that's now available, and then we can go ahead and click Finish. And it comes back and says that the new archive was successfully created and is now enabled for use. So we can go ahead and click our Close button. Now the next thing that we need to do is to add some permissions on that shared archive that we created. So what we're going to do is we'll come back up and open up our Shared Archives folder. And then once we've opened up our Shared Archives folder, we'll right-click on our Marketing Shared Data so that we can get the pop-up to allow us to select our properties. Then we'll go ahead and go to our Permissions tab. And then on our Permissions tab, we're going to add our Enterprise Vault Service account, EV_service. We'll add the Kapoor Power User account, as well as our Domain User account, so that the people who are in marketing will have access to see the items in this shared folder as well. So we'll click our Add button. And you can see we've already found our domain users and selected them. So I just go ahead and click Add to put them in our list. Then we'll scroll down to find the service account, which is EV_service. So I've selected the EV_service account, and I can go ahead and click Add. Then I need to scroll down and find Kapoor, which is our power user account that we've been using. So we'll select our Kapoor and click Add. Now we have the three accounts that we want to set up permissions for. So I'll go ahead and click OK. And now for the Kapoor account, we want them to have full control, which means read, write, and delete. So I'll go ahead and place a check here in the upper grant, which you can see gives me the write and delete. I already had the read. Then we'll come up to our service account, EV_service, and we'll do the same thing there. We'll place the check in front of the box in front of the grant, and then that will give us the write and delete permissions. And then we'll select our domain users. And once we've selected our domain users, we can see that they have the read permission, which is the only permission that they need to be able to see the items in the shared archive. Now we go ahead and close this. We'll click OK. And the next thing that we want to do is to export something from our archives so that we can use the PST migration wizard to import that PST file. So I'll come up here and select my archives. Go ahead and do a right click to bring up our pop-up menu. And we'll select Export. And now the Export Archive Wizard starts up, And we are going to export the archive to a PST file. So I just go ahead and click Next. And then the one that we want to export belongs to Harry Burton. So here in the Contains, we'll type in Harry Burton, and then go ahead and click Next. And then we can select Harry Burton as the archive that we wish to export. And then we click Next again. And we do want to export everything that's in Harry Burton's archive, so that's the default setting there. So I'll go ahead and click Next again. And then it asks for a folder path where we're going to export that to, and we'll just export it to the root directory. So let's just type in C:\/ there. And then we'll go ahead and click Next. And then here we'll accept the default type of PST file, which is the backwards compatible, or sorry, not backwards compatible with Outlook 97, 98, 2000, and 2002. So we can go ahead and just click Next for that. Then we've got our summary of all the settings that we've configured. And then we go ahead and click Next. And you can see it's starting the process of exporting the archive. And we're getting our status updates here as the archive export continues. And now it said that everything has been processed. We can see there was 41 items that were exported with no failures, so that's good. I can go ahead and click my Next button again. And it says that there is a report file if we want to read that, and our output file should be on our C drive. So we go ahead and click our Finish button here. And we'll just do a quick check to make sure it is on our C drive. So we'll open up our Windows Explorer, and we'll select our C drive or system drive here. And you can see that there is a Harry Burton _export_001, and it's a Microsoft Outlook file. So that is our PST file that has been exported. So now we're ready to use the PST migration wizard to import this file into that shared archive that we created. So we'll go ahead and minimize our Windows Explorer dialog box. Now back in our Enterprise Vault Administration Console, we'll come to our archives, do a right click, and select that we wish to import the PST file. And we do want to import it to the shared archive that we created, which was in the Information Management Vault Store. And I go ahead and click Next, and now we have to specify the PST file that we're going to be importing. So we'll click our Add, and we get a little informational dialog box that tells us that we could drag and drop items from Windows Explorer into this dialog box. We'll go ahead and search for ours and just click OK. And our file was on our system or C drive. And it was Harry Burton _export_001. So we'll select that file. We can go ahead and click our Open. And then we go ahead and click Next. And we do want to have an archive for each of the PST files. So the default setting is OK there. We'll go ahead and click Next. It specifies what retention category that we want, and we're going to change this from our default retention category to our standard retention category. And we had created this retention category in an earlier demonstration. So we go ahead and click Next. And here it asks us what's going to be the destination archive. So we'll go ahead and open this up, our drop down. Then we can scroll down and find our shared marketing data or marketing shared data folder or archive. So we've selected that. And there's not a mailbox associated with that. If we were actually doing imports of individual users to mailboxes, we could associate a mailbox with that. But since this is a shared archive, we don't have an associated mailbox. So just go ahead and click Next. And you can see that the standard retention is carried forward from the previous selection. But we could change it here if we wish, but we'll leave it at standard retention. And then we'll, this particular dialog box will say that we do not wish to create shortcuts. And then we'll click Next. And then the default items here are fine for the language, and the deleted items folder, we'll leave that no. And then we'll leave this unchecked for our calendar items and go ahead and click Next. And here the defaults are fine for compacting, leaving it set up to be read-only unchecked or unmarked, hiding it, leaving that unmarked. But we would like to create a migration report so we could check to see how things went. So we'll go ahead and change that to yes, and then click Next. And then here's our summary from all the different configuration settings we've selected. So we can go ahead and click Next. And again, you see we're getting a status of the migration of the PST into the archive. And then we get the update. And then finally, it's actually brought in, and we click the close button there, and it closed up. So now we've got the archive in the, we've got the PST file imported into our shared archive. And the way that we're going to check to make sure that it is in there and that we can use it, we're going to open up a Internet Explorer and our search utility, which we looked at in an earlier demonstration. So I click on my start and select Internet Explorer. And then the URL to get to our search location is http://server2 Enterprise Vault and search.asp for active server page. And again, we talked about this in an earlier demonstration, how to use this search functionality. So just go ahead and select that and press enter. And you can see it's connecting. It takes a moment or so. We've time compressed that a little bit for the demonstration. And now we've gotten to the vault is the marketing shared data, which is where we did the import to. So we're not going to specify any criteria. We'll just go ahead and click our search button. And if our import worked, we should be able to find items. And you can see that it did find 41 items, and that's how many items that it said that it had imported in our little status update during the importing process. And then we can click on one of the items just to make sure that it does open up, and it does open up just fine. So we'll go ahead and close our Internet Explorer. And that brings us to the end of this demonstration.